In the mid-90s, one of the most interesting scripts in development was Assassins, written by the then Wachowski brothers, the future creators of The Matrix. The script was so good that all the major stars of that time wanted to be involved in the film's production. Joel Silver, the producer behind Die Hard and Predator, paid $1 million for the Wachowskis' script. Given that this was their first script sale, the figure was huge. However, Assassins made it to the screens in a rather poor condition. There was almost nothing left of the original script that everyone had praised so much. When the Wachowskis wrote the script, they envisioned Sean Connery as the film's lead. Sean Connery's career thrived in the mid-90s, and all Hollywood studios wanted to get him in their films. It is not surprising that aspiring screenwriters also used the name of the famous actor to sell their script. However, producer Joel Silver was unable to secure Sean Connery. The actor's schedule was packed for years ahead, while the producers wanted to launch the project as soon as possible. Such rushing often had serious consequences, and Assassins was no exception. Anyway, after Connery refused Assassins, Mel Gibson showed interest in the project. At first, he considered not only directing the film, but also playing the lead. But after Arnold Schwarzenegger expressed his wish to take the lead role, Gibson decided to focus solely on directing. The role of Miguel Bain, played by Antonio Banderas, was originally meant for Wesley Snipes. Assassins in general was intended to be a completely different movie from the one we know today. It was supposed to be a dark and violent film about a showdown between two assassins. Many believe that the original script for Assassins had a significant impact on the future The Matrix. But, as is common in Hollywood, time went on, but the studio couldn't coordinate the actors' schedules. Wesley Snipes was the first to abandon the project, opting instead to star in the disastrous Drop Zone, where he was promised $7 million. The studio started considering Johnny Depp and Kevin Bacon as possible replacements. Perhaps if Mel Gibson hadn't gotten the script for Braveheart, he would have waited for Assassins to start filming, but fate had other plans. Besides, in Braveheart, Gibson had a lot of creative freedom, which was not the case in Assassins. When Gibson left, the studio tried to replace him with director Joe Johnston, who was then known for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and The Rocketeer. However, shortly after Gibson, Schwarzenegger left the project as well. When Johnston, who had just joined the project, saw Arnold fleeing the ship, he decided to switch to Jumanji instead. The studio was about to put Assassins on hold when Mel Gibson came in to save the day. Although save should probably be in quotes. Gibson approached his close friend Richard Donner, whose film credits included the Lethal Weapon franchise, Maverick, Superman, and The Omen. He told Donner about a great script and convinced him to direct it. Then, Gibson persuaded producer Joel Silver to finally start the project with different actors. This was not difficult because Silver had already worked with both Gibson and Donner on the Lethal Weapon franchise. When Donner joined the project, he didn't find anything great, let alone outstanding, in the script. To revise it, he invited screenwriter Brian Helgeland, who later wrote LA Confidential and Mystic River. After their collaboration, there was hardly anything left from the Wachowski script. What was supposed to be a dark and violent thriller turned into a light action film with Stallone and Banderas. Donner, however, really wanted Stallone to play the role that was given to Banderas, but the producers and Stallone himself were against it. Later in his interviews, Donner often mentioned that this was their biggest mistake, and as a result, the film did not work as intended. In his perspective, it was the young assassin who was supposed to be a good guy, believing in a bright future. The older assassin was supposed to be a stern man who held no optimism for a better tomorrow. When the filmmakers decided against this option, the script's emphasis shifted, as the threat that young and daring Banderas posed was very different. Besides, it would have been creative to make Stallone play the villain. In any case, Donner had no choice but to agree with the producers and the star actor, and we'll never know how things could have turned out. Assassins failed at the box office. Despite a $50 million budget, the film grossed only $83 million in theaters. $25 million from its $50 million budget were paid to Sylvester Stallone and director Richard Donner. Stallone's role in the film earned him another Golden Raspberry nomination. Assassins is still regarded as one of the worst examples of missed opportunities in cinema. The film, which could have been on par with films like Seven and The Silence of the Lambs, turned out to be a mere action film with devastating critic reviews. Professional critics have ranked Assassins among the worst films of the 1990s. According to them, even Forrest Gump could have come up with a less absurd script. On the other hand, critics never really liked Stallone. There are many other sly films on the list, including Judge Dredd and Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, thus it is possible that they were simply biased. However, critics were not the only ones disappointed with the film. Almost all over the world, Assassin's ratings are comparable to some of Jean-Claude Van Damme's less successful movies. As for the Wachowskis, the successful sale of the Assassin script allowed them to direct the low-budget crime drama Bound. The movie was well received by critics and audiences, prompting Warner to begin production on The Matrix. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and stay tuned.